This interview with Sheri Salata, who is a longtime friend and just a very, very special person, is one of my favorite interviews. We hit some areas that may be considered woo, but we've got some good discussion around it that I think you'll really enjoy. Well, first, let me introduce you to Sheri Salata. She is an author and a world class producer and transformation doula. She's the founder and CEO of The Support System, which is a private membership group for women dedicated to creating real life transformation. And Salata and Company is her personal development company offering acclaimed courses and retreats around the world. Her memoir is entitled The Beautiful No and Other Tales of Trial, Transcendence, and Transformation. It's been an editor's best choice memoir. Most importantly, is her own personal transformation. She spent 20 years in the land of Oprah and finished that glorious run as the final executive producer of the Oprah Winfrey Show, president of Harpo Studios, and president of OWN, as captured in the cable hit series Season 25, Oprah Behind the Scenes. Sheri's an amazing woman. She lives in Napa with her bulldog babies, Dolly and Buzz, and she is working on her life, creating joy and enjoying the ride as she goes. So I'm excited to talk with her today. And in this interview, we really hit on some key topics about transformation. What is it in our own exploration? What do we allow in? What resonates and what doesn't? I think it's important to listen to this episode with an open mind and take that advice, enjoy what resonates and leave what doesn't. Ask yourself these questions. Where have you seen a beautiful no in your life? Where has your path changed because of that no? And where are you now in your life? What would you like to see? And where would you like your transformation to be? This is, for many of us, the second spring of our lives. And I want to enjoy it fully with each and every one of you. So enjoy this interview. And let me introduce you to my dear friend, Sheri Salata. So happy to see you, my friend. Welcome to the Girlfriend Doctor Show, Sheri.
We're girlfriends, and we're back together, Girlfriend Doctor.
We are back together. And the reason I am the Girlfriend Doctor is because of you and Nancy Halla on your show calling me the Girlfriend Doctor. And then
That's right. Back in the days of the Sheri and Nancy podcast. Oh my God, that was so
and This Is 50. That's where I first came across you at This Is 50.
That's right. Oh, I've been morphing and evolving and evolutionizing myself. It's been a fabulous and interesting journey.
Well, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the evolution, how we, the change in identity, or maybe the new identity, like a new pair of clothes almost. I mean, like how do you transition? Like, you went from being the executive producer for Oprah Winfrey and the Oprah Show and living that life, and then not. And then there's this re-identification, or what happened? How was that transformation?
Well, here's what I want to say, Girlfriend Doctor, my Dr. Anna, my girlfriend, is that we're all going to go through transformation and transitions. We're just gonna. Either your children have left the house and now what, or you do a job change, or you decide you're not going to work anymore, or people are going to start dropping like flies around you. I mean, it's just what happens. We're all going to go through a transition. And for me, it's like, I have the luxury of not being the mother to human children. And I say that because it gives me a different perspective. I don't have children clawing at me for time and attention and activating my codependency and my lack of boundaries. So I can say to myself at 56, I'm not done yet. I have a whole, possibly another almost half of life. I'm not done. So I better get busy now that I have some wisdom, and now that I have more knowing, I've excavated more knowing, that I better start planning the life I really want to live and start having the relationships I really want to have. And so I call that getting my feet firmly on the path of transformation, getting clear and clearer about what it is I really want, and then really letting the universe just set me up with the breadcrumbs down the path, and staying in my center so I can see the signs and I can hear the wisdom.
That's a key thing. Being able to identify that these are the signs. This is the next right step. Because when you say path, I can definitely identify that.
Yeah.
And thinking, okay, what's the one next right step we take at a time? What's the one next right step? And just like there's that, was it like a pivotal moment? Hey, I'm like, at the time you're like, I'm 56 and I'm not done yet.
Oh, it
And
was pivotal. Don't get, oh, it was pivotal. It was pivotal. It was an example of what not to do, which has
well,
become so miserable you can't get out of bed. Um, and knowing that, it's time. It's time for this to be done. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. They probably don't enjoy having me here. Um, it was just time. Like the party was over and the fun was over and it had been over for a while, and I guess there's also was a part of me that was like afraid of like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to start for myself? And meanwhile, go ahead.
did you think like, okay, now this is that menopausal transition time period? Do you think the hormones, the menopausal transition, the shift from those reproductive level hormones to maybe a higher, wiser hormone level,
Gosh,
something like that, had something to do with it? Because you were right in that transition.
I wish you would have been my girlfriend at the time. No, I didn't think that. I just thought, once again, you are made yourself miserable. You're in complete and total unhappiness. You're doing exactly what you don't want to do. It was very harsh. It was very harsh. I was very depleted. The Oprah show had ended 5 years before, and that was a rocket ride. I'd never really recovered from what that required.
Adrenal burnout, complete
Yeah.
adrenal burnout,
Oh, no, no, please. And
disconnected.
I got myself to an integrative doctor who was like, "You screwed up. You are really, really sick. You are depleted. You are so out of gas." So, but I say that, and I can say that with a little laugh in my voice now. At the time, it was incredibly painful. I put myself through what I knew would be the next best steps for me, which was really a very deep internal process that really brought me to the sunlight, and helped me get clarity on where to begin. Like, what do I really want, and how am I going to start to get there? And listen, my slippery character is still very active. I can get myself twirled up and off my path in a heartbeat. And so really what I have found today is that every single day I need to get up with the morning ceremony. I need to do my morning meditation. I do my 17-minute yoga practice. Then I do my appreciation practice. And then I start drinking my water, and I drink tons of water, and really load my life up with those things that keep me so centered, and understanding that not only do I want the joy ride, I deserve it.
Mm.
I always have.
Yeah, you're worthy. You are worthy. And I
Yes.
think that's is something that is almost a universal struggle, to know that we are worthy to have joy and happiness and not hardship and misery. And like, what is it that we deserve? I think that's definitely been part of the fabric of my life too, this process and
It's really
receiving.
the only problem we ever have
Mm.
is that worthiness problem. And that worthiness problem is a love problem. So we all have a shared experience of the love problem. And the magic secret is only you can solve the love problem. Only you can solve it, because it's only your love that solves it.
Self-love.
Yeah, it's only your love for you that solves the love problem. And once you start putting in the practices and doing the work, lots of healing work, so you begin to kind of like embrace yourself, embrace your shadow, embrace your light, embrace everything about you, start to, anoint yourself with your own beauty and your own wonder. And once you can start doing that, then life gets really interesting.
Well, and I want to talk about that too, because you've had access to the most amazing healers. And then, like, in the world, I mean, you've told me some amazing things. I've done some bizarre things. Thanks to you, Sheri. I've been doing some bizarre things. But I mean, it's interesting opening my mind to what is
Right.
what is our evolution? What is
Right.
our personal journey, our struggle? And I mean, I love that you said the only problem we ever have is a worthy problem. And this worthy problem is a love problem. And one of the things that I love to say is that self-love is your highest frequency. I say it almost as a mantra to remind me myself.
Yeah.
Self-love is your highest frequency. And in my Girlfriend Doctor Club community, which is my online membership, we've been doing like this thing. When you walk by a mirror, what's the first thought that comes to your head?
Yeah.
Is it a critical thought or a positive thought? So
Yum.
now, yep. Now when you see the mirror, like then when I walk by, when I see that I'm going to walk by a mirror, I'm like, think positive. It's like it's a retraining. I've had to retrain not to focus on what I don't like, but to focus on what I like. And I'm 56. So I'm like, whew.
Those patterns run deep. Those patterns run really, really deep, which is why you have to practice every day. So the new practices override those patterns. And now all of a sudden you have a new container. You have a new go-to thought. You have a new little bit of medicine that you can take. Like, oh, I'm having a bad day. I'm gonna put my hands in my heart. I'm going to send myself so much love. And I'm going to remind myself that everything's going to be okay. And then a couple of deep breaths,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
better than a donut.
Better than a donut for sure. That highest frequency, what's going to serve us longer, for our better good and the good of those we love and care about. Now you've been like talking about some interesting mentors or
Healers.
healers that you've worked with. Can you share a little bit about one
I'll tell
that
you
makes
everything.
Oh my God.
I'll,
Okay. So the Dr. Maria shaman, because when I was on my healing journey, I was, back in 2006, after I lost my son and I was in crisis. And at that point, talked to God, didn't think he was listening. So I'm on to the next thing. And I was introduced to Dr. Maria. And she is a shaman and a neurologist or
no, she's a therapist with a
therapist.
doctorate and an indigenous shaman medicine woman with intergalactic connections. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I want to hear what your experience is. So one of the things she said, so I was in Arizona and she was wherever she was, but we did this virtually. She only had a picture of me that I had to send her in the mail at that time, 2006. And she said, when I see, she was like, does her
She
shaman stuff.
shape shifts and goes into your body.
Oh my gosh, okay. Shaman stuff. and and she's like, when I see this much sugar and acidity, I always see cancer. I don't see it now, but I always see cancer. And that was the link, that sugar and acidity. And I'm like, there was so much stress, so much cortisol, which increases acidity, versus oxytocin, which increases alkalinity. And so there's this that was like, from that was so fascinating for her to see that, feel it. Plus I was on the road to diabetes at that time, early menopause, diabetic. This is 2006. And traumatized and grieving, all of those things. And so she was very, very insightful for me, and in other ways too, just really amazing how she could hone in on some really significant signature moments in my life that
Yeah.
and physiology too. So tell me about it was long
Well,
ago, I forget a lot of it, but
so
tell me
let's
about your
say you and
experience
I
with
were
her.
at a bachelorette weekend and we
We
were
were.
roommates. And we were playing the game, who's your favorite healer? Because I want to try them. And Dr. Maria came up. So I did the weekend, the ceremony with Dr. Maria, which is you send her the picture, blah, blah, blah. And she shapeshifts and she went inside my body and she's basically, I had all the markers for death. All the markers for death. There's murderous rage in my liver. There's repressed, all this repressed communication, repressed emotions, so much trauma, so many split aparts, she calls them, where I disassociated from myself in that moment that weren't integrated. I was like, my peepers were like, boom. And she basically, and so she was just describing this journey through my internal body and what she was seeing, like from an emotional level in my energetic body. And I was like, holy moly. So meanwhile, you don't know this, I started therapy with her in May, and I continue to it to this day, once a week. And it's, oh my gosh, it's a hellstorm. You know, therapy is not for the faint of heart. You know, like we're just, I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. We you know, we get into the grist of it, and oh, the fruit it is born, even though it aggravates me sometimes. Listen, I'm resistant. Every week I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is wasting my time.
Means and then, you have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that means I have to do it because I just sit there. Then I look at my resistance, going, and so what I could see is that almost all of my relationships from even the very beginning, you know, it all starts with my mother wound, and we're terribly codependent. And, you know, and then going into my attachment style and all things like that.
Mother wound meaning when you were growing up, or because?
No, mother wound meaning that my mother could not love me the way I needed to be loved. She was unhealed. You know, nobody gave her any healing treatments, and she was now on the other side, she's helping me all the time. But you know, I would say, you know, adult child of alcoholics, maybe a little narcissistic, absent to herself, no self-worth, cared only about what other people thought. And so that was really tricky for me. It was really, and very, very critical, so worried that I wasn't enough. So all that landed in my bones very deeply. So, and we often talk about that as a mother wound. You didn't have the mother that you needed. So now you have to become the mother that you needed then. And so this process has been really interesting. And I do that along with, I do other healing things. I've told you, I explore the whole plant medicine journey. I, you know, do 2 or 3 journeys a year, which feel very spiritually expansive.
And that with ayahuasca or with?
I've done ayahuasca. I've done LSD and ketamine. I've done psilocybin, the mushroom journey. And every single one is different, but something magical gets pointed out to me, some expansion, something. And, you know, I'm feeling like I'm a bit of a psychonaut, which is, it's like the astronaut of the psyche, because I find it so fun. And I find it so interesting. And it really is all about this process, this path I'm on to really know myself intimately and to understand who I really am. That in this quantum world, I'm not this 3D woman.
Not bound with limitations, in other words.
Yes.
When you say not a 3D, not bound with limitations. And for me, you had turned, during that time, you turned me on to the Indian palm leaf, Dr. Q. Oh my gosh. And they found my palm leaf, Sheri, and he went through some things that, like, I mean, bizarre. I mean, your father's name was shortened to 4 letters. I mean, like, how, my dad was Bill. So, I mean, like, how do you figure that one out? But anyway, So, but I mean, it was just so, it was very interesting and fascinating to see. And also that, like that there's so much we don't know. And that was one of the things that in my journey and working with healers, right, from all different aspects, there's a similarities. There are
Yeah.
similarities when they say that your organs, your liver holds anger, your pancreas guilt, your breast relationships. I mean,
Lungs
different.
hold grief. Yep.
And say that again. Lungs
Your
hold grief.
lungs hold grief. Yep.
And it's like you feel difficult to breathe, and you can relate on that when you're grieving. And your heart, heart is love and affection. And so there's, to hear that from different healers from around the world, it's like, okay, maybe I need to pay attention to this. And the same with the experiences you've had with plant medicine and those journeys. And again, only with very experienced guides
Yeah,
and the
no, very,
best of the
very
best.
guided. It's coaching, guided. You're set up, you're cared for, and it's therapeutic. Like you're working on something. You
Yeah.
aren't just like zippity doo. And I really don't have any judgment about that. I don't, but I know for me, it's very intentional is a good word.
I like that. And so in that space, do you think like the biggest, like what is like a gold nugget from that experience, that you're part of something bigger, that you're not bound in this body, that your energy is, expansive? Is that
Well,
life after death? Is it?
yeah, I would say very much this, that I could have the experience of the love, the capital L. I could have the experience in one of my and in one of my journeys, I had the actual visceral experience of my maternal lineage and my paternal lineage of mothers, all those mothers since the beginning of time, bringing me the love.
Hmm.
It was like I'd been working on stuff about my mom, and it's like she came through and called all the mamas on both sides to come. And it was like a visceral feeling. And so it's an expansion. It's like, oh, this is the love
This is the love. This is what
that
that's
all
for.
the holy people have been talking about. This is it. Oh my gosh. And so then the work after a journey like that is, how do I integrate that experience into my life, my daily life now? And I have my notes, I go back and read it, and I can recall that feeling. And how can I raise my life to meet that? And it's with all the practice that we talked about, like I love you, I love you, I love you every morning, like stuff like that.
Your disciplines in the morning
Yeah.
and that part of the transformation. So then in midlife, many women are struggling. Okay, we've had this career, we've raised these children. Now we're empty, I'm an empty nester. I'm not. I have I'm 3-generation household, Sheri.
I know.
Horses, dogs, grandbaby just turned 1 yesterday. Oh my gosh, light of my life, let me tell you. And so sometimes there's all of a sudden space for that mental breakdown. Like when you become an empty nest, that's why I call it space for the mental breakdown, because you're not constantly pushing the gas pedal, pushing
Right.
the adrenaline, forced to power through all those stuff. So you've created this space. So in this space or this time of transformation, what, like, how do you guide, like, what's the priority? What would be the priority in taking the next step? Is it these practices that fill our tanks, that fill our buckets,
Yeah.
like that meditation and that yoga and that, the positive feeling of self-talk? Is
Well, I
that
mean, I would say this: if you've been really out of gas for a while and you're just at the very, very beginning, you gotta start so small that whatever you choose to do, you could do every day for the rest of your life. And here's what I mean by that. Like my slippery character would have me sign up for a yoga marathon for $500 a month, and next thing you know, I'm not going anymore. So it's like everything's on YouTube. Can you find a little practice and do 10 minutes of some sun salutations? And is it something that 10 minutes, could you do it every day for the rest of your life? That's a good practice for you then. Meditation. I enjoy a variety of meditations. I did train in TM. So I'm a TM meditator. I have my
transcendental meditation.
That's right. I do guided meditation. I do some Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations. I have a handful of go-tos, but there's an app for that. You can try all kinds of different meditations, but maybe all you can do right now is sit in a chair with your hands on your heart and just in, out, like just watch your breath for 5 minutes. And you set a little timer. You know you can do 5 minutes. You know you can do 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
If thoughts come, that's okay. You just go back to your breath, in, out, in, out. And that's all you do is 5 minutes. And then a month goes by. I would add a few more things to it. Like if you're not a water drinker, you got to drink 2 glasses of water a day. A month goes by and you go, wow, I'm feeling kind of good. I got my little sun salutations. I got my little meditation. I'm getting my water going. Okay, let me look at my practices. And then I layer on a couple more things and add a little bit more time. If it's too much where then you don't want to do it, it's too much. Mm-hmm. And it really begins by just gently, what you're doing is you're coaxing yourself onto the path. You're coaxing yourself. You're not whipping yourself. You're not beating yourself up. You're just like, it's like you got a little treaty in your hand, like I do with my little Buzzy bulldog. Here, baby, like I got a little treaty in my hand and I need him to do something. You're coaxing yourself on the path.
I like that word, coaxing. Now you've been through this transformation. So from working as executive producer with Oprah to becoming, having your own podcast and show, and moving to Napa and the puppy dogs.
Yeah.
And now there's and hosting retreats, transformation retreats. Talk about the transformation retreats and tell us an example of someone who.
Yeah. So basically, when as I kept reimagining my own business, which I have now, it's like, here's my question to myself: what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I certainly want to have these conversations. So everything I've built within my business is about having these conversations. And then I'm like, well, I want to go to Italy. I really do. I'd like to go to Italy. Next thing you know, I'm looking at my Instagram. Someone reaches out. Hey, I know of a great villa in Umbria. I could hook you up. Okay. So I've been there. I'm going back there for my 3rd time with a big group of women. We'll all stay in this 12th century church that's been renovated into this amazing property in the middle of heaven. And, we'll do some workshops every day. And then we'll go out and we'll go to Cortona, we'll go to Assisi. And so I've done that 3 times. I've done Tuscany once. I'm taking a group to Africa in June.
What?
I know. I'm going on safari with a group of people. And then in 2024, I'm going to announce probably Rwanda trekking with the gorillas and maybe a big stint in Bali. So it's just stuff I want to do. It's just stuff I want to do. And then I'm like, who wants to come? And then we'll make it deeply meaningful and transformational.
I love that. I know it's been on my list to join you for that Italy trip. The Africa one sounds amazing too.
Really going to be special.
Oh my gosh, that does sound amazing. I've been wanting to do that. It's another bucket list item. So you're making your bucket list work for you and you're bringing others along with you as part of that, part of the journey. And so, when you work in that deep time of transformation away from the rest of the world, the biggest, I think, concern for many of us, myself included, is, well, how do I maintain this when I get back home? How do you facilitate that, Sheri? Or hold that container for that?
Well, so picture what I've been saying so far. So, generally the people who come with me on stuff are in my world. They've taken my course or they're in my mastermind or something in general. But what I like to do is make sure that everybody has their basic practices going. So it isn't like you've gone from 0 and now you're, chanting. You have your little practices going. You've gotten comfortable guiding yourself on the path a little bit. And so then when we get to a place like that, away from our lives, then here's the question: what's the sacred opportunity sitting right in front of you? And how do we unlock that? How do we unlock that sacred opportunity? So with energy and with practicality, so then when you go back to your life, you're on fire. And you're not going back to a life where you were schlumping around. You were already building some of these little practices in. So now you've just expanded and elevated. And that's what I do with myself. I'm only doing what I do with myself, is that I get to a level, I stabilize, I integrate, then what's next? What's my next sacred opportunity to expand this life experience I'm having? So much fun.
I like that, but you're not piling on. You're accepting something new and maybe letting go of something old. And this transformation work, do you think you're doing therapy with Dr. Maria and like these sessions, and as like things come up in these sessions, how does that result in a healing feeling? Is it that reconnect physiologic, like you feel like there's healing, and have you seen like physical energetic improvement?
Well, here in that particular modality, and there's many modalities, but in that particular modality, which is therapy, what I'm seeing is that when I bring up these things that are pretty rooted in shame or fear, or I've just made myself completely unconscious about it, and I bring it to the light with another person that I'm trusting, that has she has no skin in my life game. She's, when we're done, I'm never going to see her again. I'll be appreciative. And once I see it, the big me, and the me right now, the version of me right now, I see it and I go, oh, look at that pattern. I've done that every time. Wow, look how that's not helpful. Okay, where did that come from? I see where that came from now. Okay, and now I have an understanding where I'm free of it.
Is that awareness? Because now you're aware, oh, that's an old pattern. Yeah. Oh, that's that back alley,
It's the back thing. It's the not wanting to be abandoned. It's that looking for love in all the wrong places. It's that instead of coming back to myself. So it's illuminating. And I've done a lot of work, so we have to dig pretty deep to come up with anything, because I'm like, done that. So, but there's always more. There's always more. We're so complicated. And think about the millions and millions of moments we've already lived. We've got our big traumas, our little T's. There's so much that we've buried or repressed or denied about ourselves. And so just keep bringing it up, releasing it with a holy breath.
And when we started our conversation, we talked about this transformation, steps to transformation, and also being able to listen to and trust our intuition. Right. Trust that still small voice, the little winks on our path, the hints that we're going in the right direction or wrong. Right. And now you're onto a new journey. Will you share some of the hints and winks that?
Oh yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Oh, wait, nothing we've talked about so far has been crazy.
No, but this is crazy. I mean, this is so magical. This is so crazy. So I'm working with my intense group. It's a small group, an intense group, and we did something I call mapping last May, which is really looking at your life, mapping out where you're going next. We work on it for a while. We put it away, and so there I am, in November. It's like the week after Thanksgiving, and somebody in my universe sends me an email. Hey, I know you like to do retreats. You might consider this place. And I usually I wouldn't be like just surfing the interwebs, when in the middle of a day I was probably doing something, but something said, click on it. I clicked on it. Up comes this website. And I went, it's a place. It's a place. It's a new concept in urban living where it's 70% green space. And it's all these little hamlets that create this amazing village. And I looked at it and I went, oh, I'm supposed to live there.
Wow.
I booked a flight. I went there. I'm in contract on a piece of property. I'm going to build a house. I'll be moving there soon. And when I pull out that map I told you about that I put in a drawer, it said, here's what's next for me. I'm going to look at property in Sonoma. It didn't say anything about moving to Georgia. Georgia was not on my dance card. It wasn't on my bingo card. No.
But is that like, because you were born in Georgia, Brunswick, Georgia, to be exact, where I delivered babies and
I
delivered
thought
two
about
of
that
my own.
later.
Like here, it's almost full circle, right?
Born and die in Georgia. I mean, because eventually they're going to have assisted living, so I can just live out my days there. But I saw the website. First thing, I'm like, I'm supposed to live there. I go there, I stand on the land, and I'm like, this is my land. This is where my roots are going to really grow. And that was that.
You trusted that. You trusted that.
Well, that's what I think this work, what it brings you to, is you go, huh. And that doesn't mean you don't get a hitch in your giddy up. I mean, when I was negotiating this land, I have to tell you this. I go to negotiate it, and all of a sudden, I morph into this crazy person, control freak. Nobody's going to screw me. Screw or be screwed persona. I'm going to go in real low, and too bad if they don't take it. And I'm watching myself going, wow, those are really old patterns.
Wow.
That is some learning or training from another time. And I go to myself, I'm like, how do I snap out of it? What would workshop Sheri say? It's like, well, what workshop Sheri would say, let's have it be good for both parties, for me and the woman selling it. Let's have it be good for both of us so we both rise up. And so she's giving me this gift of this land, and I'm giving her the gift of these resources. The minute I did that, all the angst was gone, and I had a deal in like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh. That is a good story.
And that's what
awareness.
That's what happens when you do this work. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be?
And part of your workshops too, it's writing, right? It's writing your story.
Yes.
Digging deep and
writing the new story.
Writing
the new story. I mean, we all have a story, as you know, and that story is on an autoplay in our minds. We're just feeding ourselves a lot of lies, a lot of criticism, a lot of darkness, and we have to rewrite those stories. Like, of course I should be guided. Of course the universe is going to help me. Of course the universe is going to help me buy it. The universe put it on my path. There's a new story to be told. And when you tell that new story, Dr. Anna, as I know you know, there's a new life that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
The life of your dreams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I love that. Okay. Like the concept, writing the new story.
Yeah.
Writing the new story. And then thank you for sharing that. The awareness of when these old patterns come up, or when there's like angst or anger or those negative emotions, like digging, you have the awareness, the realization to handle that and transform it into something beautiful. And you got what you wanted.
The pro tip on that, because I'm going to have to do that for the rest of my life, because those patterns I spent decades creating. So I'm going to have to keep my eyeballs on that for the rest of my life. But the pro tip is, instead of becoming infuriating myself, oh, I thought you're doing all this work and now you're behaving like that. No, instead I got curious. Curiosity is it's a delicious detective energy. I just got curious. I just got curious, like, what's going on there? You must be really afraid. You're really afraid right now. Because it's big money and you're feeling insecure and you're not married, so you got to do it yourself again. Oh, there's a lot bubbling up there, girl. So
Mm.
in my curiosity, I could have this compassion for myself and then come back and say, okay, but when you are in your center, workshop Sheri, what would she say? And she did not steer me wrong.
You were able to stand beside yourself
Yeah.
and coach yourself through that, which is really powerful. I want to thank you so much for sharing everything you've shared with us today. And before I let you go, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions, part of my
Okay.
girlfriend doctor rapid fire questions. And but tell our audience where they can find you, follow you, and connect and go to Africa with you.
Oh my gosh, I would love everybody to come and find me. It's my website tells you everything. SheriSalata.com, Sheri, Salata, SALATA.com. Everything is there.
Awesome. Awesome. And at Sheri Salata on Instagram, follow her there because she's super fun. Are you still showing up in your rollers? I haven't seen one with you in your
I
rollers
haven't in
lately.
a while. I haven't. I love to wear my, sometimes if I don't have time to take them out, I go live with my rollers.
Yes, she
My
does.
big,
Yes, she
my big
does.
Velcros.
I love it. I love it. And okay, so in the Girlfriend Doctor brand, we have 4 pillars: nourish, awaken, shine, and embrace. And so, question in each of these pillars: nourish, what is your favorite food to eat? That yeah. But if it was your last day on earth and they said, okay, I'm
Oh,
going to serve this up for you.
I would make my vegetarian lasagna.
Your veggie lasagna. Okay. With cheese, without cheese, with vegetarian. So
Well, I would make it vegetarian. If it was my
okay.
last day on earth, I would make it vegetarian. But I use some impossible sausage and meat and stuff like that. It's pretty, it's like the old lasagna when I was a meat eating gal.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. I'm getting hungry. And awaken. What book is at your bedside right now? What are you reading, or what are you
Oh,
really excited
well,
about reading or sharing?
yes, I'm going to tell you what I'm reading. Hold on, hold on, hold on. It came out today. It came out today, and I got my copy yesterday. And it is Vienna Farrow's. She is the mindful MFT, Vienna Farron. Her new book is called The Origins of You, and it's
Origins of
about
You.
the origins of you. It is about how we grow up in our families. It is how breaking family patterns can liberate the way we live and love.
Oh
That'd
my
be.
goodness. I love it. I'm going to share it with I've got this. I don't know why it reminded me of you today. My Dolly Pardonisms.
Oh, I love that.
It says it's hard to be a diamond in a rhinestone world. It's hard to be a
Yeah.
diamond in a rhinestone world. And the one I flipped to this morning, because I just flipped, and it's so cute. And it's one I read to my granddaughter. So it said, I do the best I can every day, and I'm going to enjoy my life. Some people work at being miserable. I work at being happy. And that was a reflection on her life philosophy during an interview for the Oprah magazine. So that's the one I flipped to today. But I love these little Dollyisms.
Love it. Well, that's right. Choose happiness. It's a choice.
Happiness is a choice, right? And it's like if you're miserable, that's what you're working on.
Yeah.
So I think that's powerful. And then shine. A beauty tip or secret. We already know your Velcro rollers, so that's one.
Velcro rollers. That's my big tip. If you don't know how to blow dry, just throw it in little big fat iron and put in your Velcro rollers.
Yeah, a good one.
Beauty tip or secret. A berry lip, which I got from Bella Gandhi, Smart Dating Academy. Always
Mm-hmm.
wear a berry lip, and I have my matching berry nails.
I love that. Okay. And that's where I learned about Beauty Counter from you too.
Yep.
Berry lips. And embrace. So when we talk about embracing, like you're single now, opening to embracing love. And the biggest thing that has been that you shared is that part of that embracing self-love and self-worth in this, and now being open to having a partner in your life.
Yeah.
So someone else out here, same situation, single,
Yeah.
you know, past midlife, thinking, okay, do I, I'm ready for this person now. what do we do besides listen to Bella Gandhi? You guys, Smart Dating Academy, Bella
She's,
Gandhi. But like,
she's really, here's what I'm going to say.
What's something that you're doing?
What this is not going to be for everybody, but here's what I said to myself. I'm really not interested in partnering the way I used to partner with men. And I'm really not interested in bringing my old patterns into the way I used to partner with men. So what I want, so that's why I'm doing my therapy, I'm doing my healing journeys, I'm doing my modalities, because I really want to clean that up so that I come as my healed self, healed in progress, and I really have a clear sense of the clarity of what I want it to feel like, and not some scribblings from my teenage girl journal. So that's what I'm about right now, really understanding what is it that I want in that relationship, and what would be my expectation for how we would interact. And I'm pretty sure I'm really open to having it not be conventional and not being, anything to do with what I was taught, when I was growing up. So
That feels right for you. So I think that's like one of the things is, what is that in my own work too, what that relationship looks like, what the shared common interests are, how we feel around each other, getting along together, and
right.
beyond the passion, right? Beyond the passion. And so, yeah, no, I
Well, and
love
yes,
that. Thank
why
you.
why would we not use the same techniques and skills? I mean, everything I'm doing professionally, 3 years ago, I had no clue I was going to be doing. Maybe even 2.5 years ago, I had no idea. And now it's this thriving business that lights me up. I've never been happier. I've never felt more on purpose. And I just kind of follow the breadcrumbs. Okay, I'll try that. Okay, I'll try that. Okay. So I'd like to bring that same sense of openness and curiosity and lack of control to manifesting the intimate partnership.
I like that lack of control in that, just being open, right?
Yeah.
And without those expectations, what it's supposed to look like, feel like,
Yeah. Follow the breadcrumbs.
experiencing.
Your big you knows. Your big you knows who's the right guy and where he
Just
is.
like, wow. Thank you so much for being here today. You guys, Sheri Salata, it is awesome to speak with her at any time. Check out her website, sherisalata.com. Follow her on Instagram. Read her book, The Beautiful No. I mean, she has been an inspiration to me and such a pleasure. Sheri, thank you again for coming on the show. I can't wait till we room together again. We
I
got to
know.
arrange this.
I love you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Till next time. Recording the intro for the Sheri Salata interview, which we will title Transforming Your Life into What You Dreamed It Would Be. Something like that. Our transformation, comma, woo woo, comma, and next steps. Maybe that's a better title. Okay, here we go. Hold on. See? Okay.